All right, we're up on our somewhat final step. Step 4, we want to form double and triple bonds, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to form double / triple bonds from lone pairs as necessary. And as necessary, what we want to do is we want to have a filled outer shell, which for the most part means an octet, right? Hydrogen, of course, being the exception, it only wants a duet. We also want to add brackets surrounding our molecule and the charge that it has, right? So if we have a charge, we indicate that with a bracket and then the charge on the outside. In Chem 101, you'll learn how to localize that charge. And what I mean by localizing the charge is we're going to put that charge on a specific atom. But for now, we're just going to keep things simple and help build ourselves up. Some things you want to kind of keep an eye out for is watch out for exceptions. So remember, these guidelines will work, 99% of the time, but there's going to be some exceptions. We'll learn about the exceptions in the following videos. You want to identify possible resonance structures, which you don't know what that means yet, but you'll learn what that means in a following video. I just want to point it out here. And then finally, we don't want to go above 8 valence electrons, right? None of our atoms are going to go above 8 valence electrons. It is possible for compounds to have more than 8 valence electrons, but you'll learn more about that in Chem 101. For now, we're going to keep it simple and we're going to stick to molecules where each atom only has up to 8 valence electrons. All right. Let's go ahead and take a look, right? I copied these pictures from our previous slide. So let's go ahead and take a look at what we're going to do. So in terms of this CO2, right, the oxygens on either end have 8 valence electrons. However, this carbon in the center only has 4 valence electrons. One second, let me just go ahead and move this down here. The magic of technology, right? So if we think about, it only has 4 valence electrons, it needs 8. So we need to give it 4 more valence electrons. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take this lone pair and move it and make it a double bond. And so that'll get us up to 6 valence electrons on that central carbon. So we need more. And then we're going to do the same thing to that other oxygen on the other side. Since the 2 oxygens are the same, we're going to want to pull 1 pair from each instead of pulling 2 from the same one. And so if we think about what that structure is going to look like, now we've replaced the single bonds with double bonds, and each oxygen has lost a lone pair to give us our final structure of CO2. And if you count the valence electrons, this carbon has 4 bonds. Each bond counts as 2 electrons. That's 8 valence electrons. These oxygens on either end, they have 2 lone pairs. That's 4 valence electrons, and then 2 bonds. Each one counts as 2. 4 plus 4 is 8. Everything has 8 valence electrons. Everything is nice and happy. For this NH4, the hydrogens have their duet. The nitrogen has its octet. We don't have any more electrons, so everything is good to go there. The only thing we want to do is, since it has an overall charge, is add our brackets and the charge on the outside of those brackets. Again, in 101, we'll put the charge on a specific atom, but for right now, we'll just put it on the outside of the brackets. Down here in this CH3OH, if you think about that one, all the hydrogens, they have their duet. The carbon has an octet and the oxygen has an octet. So that structure is actually already done for us. Then finally, we take a look over here. All the oxygens have their octet, but the nitrogen only has 6 valence electrons. So it needs 2 more valence electrons, and no more than 2, just 2. So what we need to do is we need to pull one of these lone pairs and make it a double bond. So in this case, I'll choose this top one. Since they're all oxygens, it doesn't matter which one you choose. And now we have our 8 valence electrons around this central nitrogen. And then we're going to stop here. Right, it's got 8, it can't have more than 8, so we're done there. And then we're just going to put the brackets and then the negative charge on the outside. Note that I pulled it from the top oxygen. You could have pulled it from any one of the three oxygens, and we'll discuss what that means in this following video. But overall, there's your 4 steps. So practice, practice, practice.